And we are live. What's up, beasties? It's me, it's Triple B, your friendly neighborhood bearded book beast. Welcome back to another episode of Beast Friends Forever. Woo! I am excited to be back. It's been a few weeks with moving and stuff. I'm in my new digs, my new setup, my new office, my new house, my new state, my new life. And I could not be happier to have my first guest on Beast Friends Forever, North Carolina style, be with just an awesome author who is the author of all these beautiful books around my head, but also has just become a great friend. One of the first people that reached out to me and I connected with when I started this booktube journey. He's sent a very sweet gift basket to me for Christmas. We chat a lot, and I'm really excited about his new book. He's an awesome author. Cannot wait for you guys to meet him and hear all about all the awesome things he has going on. I'm talking about my dude, Michael R. Ooh, I've never said your last name out loud. Let's see if I say it right. Schultheiss.
Dude, perfect. I always say, pronounce my name and my characters' names. Any way it rolls off your tongue is fine. My wife, she said that my previous series, like, honey, your characters are kind of too hard to pronounce. And so I'm always like, yeah, okay. So regardless, you should pronounce any way you want. But you did it perfectly, Schultheiss.
Yes,
I would say shoal, like a shoal of fish, like a school, like a shoal of fish. And then Tice rhymes with dice. I used to play D&D. I miss it. Dice and all about dice. Yeah. But I will say names. I think the names in Augury of Blood, the new novel, are much easier. I really worked on that aspect. So I think that for the most part, they're much easier. There's very few that have. There's very few that have more than 2, maybe 3 syllables.
Okay, that's good. It's fantasy book. You gotta have some.
It's a fantasy book. Right? You gotta have some fun names.
You gotta have names that everyone
someone's not stumbling over a name here and there.
Exactly. I agree.
There's a quiz at the end. You have to, score it out correctly, or you'll suffer a terrible curse or something. No.
I like it. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Thank
you for having me. I'm honored to be the first person in your new Southern Command in North Carolina.
That's right.
I actually have family roots. I'm vague on the specifics, but I know that my grandmother, God rest her soul, on my mom's side, I think that's where her roots were. And we have family, I think by way of my grandfather again, passed. But so yeah, I have roots in North Carolina, but I don't know much about them to be transparent. I think Scottish and maybe some other stuff, maybe some English.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't have any besides living here now. We just came here for my wife's work, so
yeah. So you're liking it so far?
Oh yeah, I love it so far. It's hot. It's been hot, but that's okay. I mean, it gets hot everywhere in the summer. Even in Michigan, it gets really hot. So
yeah,
it'll probably feel different to me when we get to be about November and there's no blizzards or anything like that.
Oh yeah. The wife and I visited Texas. This is a year and a half. This is before our daughter, but not long. Mm-hmm. So let's see, this was a month and a half before our daughter was born, and it was great. We had a blast. But what struck me was that it was so warm just walking around in San Antonio, and I was dressed like I am now. The short sleeve shirt and shorts and my sandals. It was great. But also, from what I hear, the humidity, which for me is, I'm not evolved to that ecology. I respect people who are. I really do. But I cannot handle the humidity.
Yeah.
I went to Washington, D.C. when I was 17 years old for a trip. And it was I'm glad I did it. But oh, my goodness. The humidity was just absolutely incredible. And that's what we don't have in Oregon. So Oregon has, there's good and bad everywhere. Oregon has a number of things that, it's, I love it, despite, I love it warts and all, but.
Warts and all, yeah. That's how anything is.
North Carolina, I love the South. I mean, I'm fascinated with, American history is something I need to learn more about, actually, to be honest. But Texas was a wonderful experience. And I just think that the South in general, for me, codes is a very sort of, warm people, great cuisine, a lot of culture, a lot of history, a lot of heritage. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Ooh. You know what? Hang tight for 1 second. I just realized I was like, why does my face keep getting all bleached out? It's because I don't have my I'm on my laptop camera. I gotta hook up my nice camera. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on a second. Well, while I'm doing that, let's talk about. Tell us a little bit about you and your new book that just released today, right?
Yeah. So the new book is called Augury of Blood. It's book 1 in a new series, Legacy of Ermengar. And I'm going to kind of try and bottom line this for you. Do you miss classic epic fantasy? Do you miss, I'm just going to put this to you, to the audience, whoever. Do you miss the old school, the days back when, you dive in and it's just every chapter is just more of everything. It's on the one hand, you have an adventure and you have things are just popping. I don't get me wrong. I can enjoy a slow burn story, but it needs to have, like, you need to really hook my interest and keep it moving along. And so I wanted this story to be something. You look great.
There we go. That's better.
So I wanted the story to be, to be classic fantasy, endless adventure, and and at the same time, I'm obsessed with history and prehistory. So this book really grew out of the intersection of my love for fantasy, wanting to bring back, spending years feeling like, where is the next thing that's going to sweep me away and make me feel like I'm alive again? And, I had something of that experience with R. Scott Baker's The Prince of Nothing trilogy, which is very dark. But I mean, I dedicated my 4th novel to the guy. Like, there's a lot that I feel like I've gained so much from him, despite, frankly, disagreeing with his entire philosophy. I don't know. He's really, he's a very smart guy, and I really do respect him very much. But, I wanted something heroic, but also, I'm obsessed with history. I'm obsessed with the roots of things. And so this is basically classic fantasy influenced by Homer and the operas of Richard Wagner.
Oh,
and there's a lot to unpack there. So if you get into it, you'll find, first of all, this is not a medieval European setting. This is a Bronze Age European setting.
Okay. I like that.
And the lost world of the Bronze Age is something that we don't talk much about because, first of all, most European cultures were pre-literate, no writing. Now, of course, we have Homer, who, to be clear, was not, someone's going to say, is going to correct me, so I'm just going to sort of anticipate. He was not himself, he was from the Iron Age, the archaic period in Greece. But he was writing about events that have generally been understood to be late Bronze Age. So, and that reflect the Mycenaean world, that whole milieu. And so I was inspired by that. Like, Homer runs through this book extensively. But also I got into looking into the prehistoric cultures of Central Europe, the Unatike culture, the whole Yamnai. So the Indo-European origins are just a massive obsession of mine. So I'm going to just explain for anyone who may not be familiar with what Indo-European means. And you're a smart guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if you know. But maybe some of your listeners won't. Smart. Oh no, I don't talk down about yourself. I think very highly of your acumen.
Wow, I appreciate that.
I'm kind of really into this. I have always had these very intellectual, very nerdy interests. So I don't always have a good gauge what people know. So maybe I'll just explain really quick that when I say Indo-European, I mean the Proto-Indo-European language that became English and Latin and Greek and Armenian and the Slavic tongues, all the Celtic tongues, most of the languages of Europe and quite a number of South Asia and Iran and some other places too. Kurdish is one too, are all descended from this ancient Indo-European tongue that they've reconstructed painstakingly. And indeed, people who are into this stuff will find that there's Proto-Indo-European words, whole words, and concepts, and things that, all kinds of things that I'm taking into this book. And so this is kind of a lost world that archaeologists and geneticists and linguists have been revealing to us for a long time now. And the nature of how this has worked out is there have been different ideas, but the idea that seems to be dominant is that the roots of this language go back about 5,000 years, and farther back ultimately, but that there was an expansion of these people who were kind of horse nomads, more or less, out of the steppes of what's now Ukraine and southern Russia. about 5,000 years ago, and into Europe and into the Eurasia, out to Mongolia, down into South Asia. So the 3rd and 2nd millennia before Christ were when most of this was going down. Some of it a bit farther back in the 4th millennium. And so this is the backdrop for the Rostoval saga in terms of the historical obsessions that led me to that series.
Okay.
And that ties in with what happened a couple of years ago. I had just finished releasing what you can see up above, The Shadow of My Vision and The Circle of My Sovereignty, books 4 and 5. It's one story. I put them out in less than a month of each other. They both came out in August of 2023. So I was casting about for a new project, and I wanted to do something that would be really, the Rostoval saga has meant so much to me, and I wanted to do something that would be more of that, but not just doing the same thing all over again. And here it is with the serial numbers filed off. So I thought, well, hey, I love my European roots deeply. I'm passionate about them, and I want to actually get into the Bronze Age. Let's get, like the South Asian stuff is fascinating, but I wanted to get into the European material. And that the challenge there is that it's mostly not, you have no writing in most of Europe in the time period in question. Now, again, the Mycenaeans do down in Greece, and that's a very different thing in some ways. So I got into that really big time, and kind of in that period of time, of summer of 2023, I also managed to finally indulge my long love of Richard Wagner, of his music. I loved it for a long time. I never sat down and did what I did at this point, which was watch the entirety of the Ring cycle, start to finish, all 15 or so hours of it.
Okay.
It's a cycle of 4 operas, and it's mythic. He's kind of capturing more or less, it's kind of, old German legends, and it's about, old gods and all of that. And it's really an incredible story. And that, it just opened up. I am convinced that Wotan himself spoke to me and showed me what epic fantasy could be, or could become again. It could be this mythic, numinous space. You could have a pulse-pounding, boundless adventure story where you're never bored. You're never wandering through acres of, what are we, we're traveling from, farming Hamlet A to who knows, off to Mordor or something. No, I love Lord of the Rings. I should clarify. I love Lord of the Rings, but but I want pulse pounding adventure. I want it to be but also to have a moment of character where we really establish who these people are and what matters to them, and to have it all happen in a world where it's mythic and it's numinous and the gods are very present. And there's a great battle for the fate of the world. The forces of entropy vectors, the forces of chaos, the resentful and spiteful forces of darkness against the gods, with all their shortcomings. I mean, the gods are not perfect. The gods have their own rivalries, and of course, humans are the star players in all of this. And Wagner's immortal spirit inspired me, and so I wrote a poetic dedication for this book, and then dedicated to him. The series is dedicated to the ancestors, my ancestors, and more to the ancestors of our people.
Yeah.
But Richard Wagner, I couldn't dedicate to anybody else. I had to write a poem and honor his spirit, because his spirit spoke to me. Oh,
that's awesome, man. Well, I got to say, I love your energy, dude.
Oh, thank you.
I could listen to you talk all day. All right, let's shout out some people that are here with us real quick before we go further. We got Mr. Roro is here. What's up, man?
Howdy.
Thanks for being here. Sam from iSamWise is here. Greetings, my
friend.
Hey,
good to see you, buddy.
Hyped for your
Thank
book.
You. It makes me very happy. It's out in paperback as well as ebook now. Just to clarify, it took a little bit. In general, it takes a little bit longer to approve the paperback. I don't know why that is, but it is approved now.
Oh, good. Okay.
So hopefully, it can take a couple days or even a few days for it to be consistent in showing up every time you're on the product page and you see both formats. But it's kind of working in that regard. So if it's not there now, check back in a day or so, and it should be fine. And he talked about the physical, but I want to send you and I want to send him copies of the book once I have my author copies, because my friends.
We appreciate that. Let's see. Tim McKay is here, an awesome YouTuber. What's up, Tim? Let's see. Awesome, I want to scroll down. He is an awesome dude. He just said first hearing that it came out today, so congrats, he said, which is awesome.
Thank you, Tim. You're awesome, by the way. I'm looking forward to your book too.
Oh,
I have it. I have it on my TBR, and I have lots of stuff. But I promise you're on there, and I'm not gonna, not deep down off in Narnia or whatever. Like I'm gonna make space very soon.
Oh yeah, same. That's another beautiful cover. His is stunning for sure.
Yeah. That cover he has is really very fire.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. Let's see. We got Mark from the Book Lounge is here. Hello, Mark.
Howdy.
Thanks for being here. Let me see. Oh, EL Montague is here. What's up, EL? Thanks for being here.
I know you. A lot of folks I know.
You can listen while you write, EL. You're a writing machine. You can write and do anything, I feel like. All right. I wanted to. Sam had said, and this was before you mentioned it, which I thought was funny. He said the question he had to ask is how much Baker's in this book, and then you talked about it. I am
so glad that you asked that question. I love R. Scott Baker, and I have my criticisms of him too. And I'm going to try and keep this. Focused. Okay, so things I love about R. Scott Baker: the man is a phenomenal character writer. You will feel his characters; they feel so real, and I love his prose. I love the beauty. I mean, so much of. I mean, the reason I had to dedicate book 4 of my Rossabal Saga series to him is just that I love the heck out of his prose and the way that he can just communicate so much beauty through that, even though his world is pretty grim.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, beg pardon. Been drinking some mushroom coffee and chai, not psychogenic, just healthy mushrooms. Those and the world building, and I mean the stories are. I mean they're generally very well done, very interesting, but. Where I have a strong disagreement with him is, so much of his stories seem to be about suffering and the awfulness of humanity and the ramifications of the awfulness of humanity. And it's not that I don't respect that up to a point. It's actually Mr. I. Samwise did a wonderful video on this, and I found him myself agreeing. Like, oh my God, you said it better than I could. Like, yes, of course, many aspects of life. Of the human experience are this awfulness. I mean, like there was that flood in Texas, and those little girls. Like, oh my God, your heart breaks. But that's not the only thing that's true about life, and I don't even know that that's the most important thing that's true about life. What about what makes life worthwhile? What about and my philosophy is one of essentially I believe that life is struggle, pain, and glory, and you need to learn to embrace the struggle. And accept the pain, and that's how you get to glory. And whatever that looks like for you. I mean, we don't have to all be Alexander the Great or Pizarro conquering an empire for ourselves. That could be living a fulfilled, applying your will to power to being a great husband and father, being someone who is a blessing to your friends and your community. So I've learned the hard way. I spent many years of my 20s just feeling pretty messed up because of aspects of my strange upbringing. And, it was just I had to discover my responsibility to myself. And that was what got me out of being, a sniveling self-pitier to someone who is, I love life. I learned to discover my own vital impulse and create, connect with, to take your pick, just that Nietzsche calls it the will to power, and that's something that I discovered before I even knew anything about him. And once you do that, once you really commit to responsibility, to taking ownership of yourself and your life, I'm sorry, I just don't agree that life is this grim and terrible. Yes, aspects of it, but if that's your view, what the heck's the point? Like, I won't live like that. I refuse to. And I think that this is, it's possible I'm just not smart enough to understand the bigger point that Baker is making with his work. And it's possible. Like, I do respect him. He's a very smart guy. He's brilliant. So if you read Augury of Blood, you will find there is a villain in the book who is the only villain who has a point of view is a point of view character. The others are mostly heroic. There's one who's a bit more mixed. I don't do a lot of characters who are, the whole edgy, like, anti-hero thing. It can get a little bit old. I'm not averse to gray morality. There's a lot of things where it's like, we're going to subvert everything. And I like heroes you can actually root for. Although if you read my books, sometimes they do things that they do things that reflect a different set of sensibilities than our own. So if you read the Rossabel saga, he does a lot of things in there that, conquering and taking slaves that are normal and heroic in his context, but that people today often find very offensive. So with that caveat, I like to write about characters who have vital energy, who have a strong sense of purpose. And so that's what you'll find a lot of in this book. And you'll find people who have other struggles. There's a nobleman who's trying to engage with his people rule much of the world because they have these enslaved titans. But what he sees is that they come to rely on the titans, and so their warrior virtue is being lost. They're becoming complacent and lazy, and that bothers him a lot. And he worries about the future a lot. So I like to get into all kinds of different characters, but I mostly want sympathetic characters. So that's where, I'm sorry, this is a long walk for a short drink of water or much tea, as the case may be.
You're the star of the show, man. We're here to listen to you talk.
This is a good question though, because for me, I want to see people struggle and overcome. And there certainly will be dark things that happen. But the only character, there's one character, and his name is Praetomnes, who is, I drew very heavily upon Baker and Baker's capacity for writing amazing characters who are also complete freaking psychopaths or completely evil. This guy is the only outright villain who has a point of view. And he is evil. He's evil just absolute scumbag. But also really fascinating. And really, I used a lot of Baker's influence to sort of like, hey, let's get into this guy, like disturbingly deep. My friend Joseph Sale read the book and said, this guy is an insane monster of a man, but he's disturbingly compelling and deep. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he noted something I hadn't even entirely consciously thought of, which is that sea imagery surrounds him in the whole story. And so my friend's like, hey, this is like a commentary on his nature, which is disturbing and treacherous and evil. So that's the best answer. The villain who gets a point of view is a very Baker-inspired character, and I lean into that absolutely. And in general, the prose, I try to make the prose Homeric and have a lot of poetic flourishes, but not purple, but just transport as lush. But other than that, it's very much a story of, look, the world is a place with plenty of complexity, and I don't deny that. But at the end of the day, it's worthwhile to fight for life, for what you love, for who you love, to uphold order against chaos and entropy, and also to see that order can itself become too ingrown and calcified and pathological, but that ultimately we want that right kind of balance. Want innovation, but we also want stability, and that's not always an easy balance to strike. But what you see with the evil forces in this book is that they're all forces of entropy. They're resentful. They want to tear down what the gods have created. And this is what drives them. Feelings not just of superiority, but also of envy, of resentment, what Nietzsche called ressentiment. The French concept. Apparently this is kind of a, apparently, and he was German, obviously, but the French concept is apparently kind of a bit more complex, a bit deeper, but it gets to the heart of that wanting to tear somebody down because they make you feel inferior. It's a choice. Ultimately, you have to choose that, but that's the experience. So anyway, that's hopefully not okay. Most of it is kind of a response to him that disagrees pretty heartily with his philosophy, but I still respect him, and I respect so much of what he's created.
You can agree to disagree with people and still respect them.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
It should be, right? We got a couple more people that popped in here. J.A. Brighton, another awesome author here. What's up, J.A.? And Mike Molman, another awesome booktuber and authors here. And let's see. He's reading right now, but he took a break to come see us. And I got to shout out EL and say, thanks, man. You're the best, too. So I was going to ask you earlier, Samwise made a nice comment about your cover. He said wins award for best cover of the year. Now, do you don't have any copies, right? Because I looked up an image so we could show it. Yeah. Anything you can show.
I'm sorry. No, I don't have anything physical.
Okay.
Yet.
That's okay. I got an image I can show everybody.
Oh, great.
So
please do.
So let me, I always have to remember how to do this. Hold on. So right here. Nope, that's not it. Every time. Here we go. All right. I want to show.
It's all over my ex. But the kids are calling Twitter these days. It's all over. I'm posting it all the. So if people want to check it out on there, I post it all over the place.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, I think I got it. All right, can you see it?
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah,
there it is. Look at that beauty.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, I should take the chance to shout out my cover design artist, Caleb. So J. Caleb Design. And that should be very easy to find. Great guy. Christopher G. Brenning, author of The Hellborn King. That cover, more than any other, convinced me that I like, okay, I think I want this guy. Listen, he looked at some other covers that he done as well, and it's like, okay, this is not just a one-off. Like, he's like, they're all really pretty fire.
Yeah,
there isn't even, there isn't, of the ones I've seen, none of them strike me as even a 4-star cover. They all look like 5-star covers to me, just in terms of, not that I know anything. I'm just, a guy who loves to write books. But, it was such a wonderful experience working with him, because what I did was I went out and I looked at other books, and I see you have the 5 Warrior Angels. Those in particular were the ones I said, okay, I read these books. I loved them. Each one got better. I mean, the first one was pretty good, very solid. The second one was better and great, and the third one I just couldn't put it down. So those covers really impressed me. I thought, okay, I want, and so the individual there, his name he has many names, but we'll call him Walfast. That's the one he goes by the most. He's a god who plays an important role in the story.
Okay.
You'll see. He's one of the he wanders around and does some important stuff, and that axe is an important part of a story as well.
Ooh,
so yeah. So you have a mysterious rider, on a steed, and you have a weapon, and I thought, okay, that's kind of what I want. And so I reached out to J. Caleb, and I said, hey, and here's me, and here's my whole spiel, and I want your feedback on whether this is, am I on the right direction. And I wanted the owl there is actually a shapeshifted. It's an avatar. So there are beings in the story called Dwayari, and the Dwayari, there's different kinds, but the one that his type is the Night Court, and they are beings that live down deep underground in the deepest shadow in the bones of the earth, below even the kingdom of ghosts. So it's a lower level of the underworld than where the ghosts hang out, and that is significant. And so their thing is kind of they are formless spirits made form, and the ones who are fight in the path of resistance are resentful that they were forced to take physical form, and they want to go back to being formless spirits and bring about endless night. And they're very musical, and so one thing that they can do is they can shapeshift into different things, and they like owls because they like night. They actually can't go out at day at all because they'll turn into they'll go up in a puff of shadow, basically, and a clang or a small peal of music, it's like a snarl of song notes, and then a puff of shadow, and they're just gone. They can go out in day in their owl form. So there's other things. There'll be loons. There'll be different fish, even insects. So he had some feedback on maybe not like, hey, I could put him on Walfast's fist like a glove with it, falconer. But and I said, well, no, maybe his suggestion was like put it like you see here, kind of like an Easter egg. He's off in the distance, up in the corner. So yeah,
That's
so
cool.
the book actually opens with the owl with this Dwayar in owl form flying.
Oh,
You'll
okay. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool way to start it off. I love it. Yeah, this cover is a fantastic, man. I can't wait to see it in the flesh.
Oh, me too.
I bet you can't either.
Oh my God, this has been so long. I mean, I was starting to put the pieces of this together in my mind before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
In summer of 2023, summer and fall, and I had written a little bit before she was born in December, before she was born, and then I didn't write at all for a month or two after because baby.
Yeah.
And so then it was the work of it was the work of last year and a good part of this year to write this book, and the final version is the much edited third version. But I made many more changes to the third version than I usually do with my books. But it had to happen, had to be done.
Oh yeah, sometimes you got to, for sure. All right, so this is the first book. Do you know yet if this is going to be a trilogy? Is it going to be more than 3 books?
I think at least 5 books. And nice. I'm very anti-bloat. I'm very anti-slog.
Oh yeah.
He is looking at you, Terry Goodkind, Sword of Truth series. I will never forgive him for that. Those books went downhill after about. I mean, I'd say the last one that was really any good, the ones that I read, was maybe book 4.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Pass on them if you pass on them. There's better stuff out there. I was young. I was 18 when I was reading those books. So I'm very anti-slog and anti-bloat. The slog is the thing that puts me off the wheel of time. Transparently, I've read a lot of Brandon Sanderson, and I've liked most of his books. I love them even. But I'm very anti-bloat, so I'm gonna. This is gonna be like, this book is a very fat book. I should emphasize that it's 1,000 plus pages in ebook, 767 in physical. I don't think you'll find that there is anything sloggy about this at all. Like I really went to great lengths to. I mean, it's for one to. That's my opinion. One's experience may differ, but I mean, so my thinking is I can do it in 5 books. There's a number of, without getting into spoilers, there are aspects of the story that make me think that 5 is going to be about the right number, and we don't want to go too much longer than that, because I want to keep this a very, a sweeping, a breathtaking narrative. I want people to every book to matter, to really push the story forward, to be memorable, to stand out. Like, oh my God, that was that book. Where there's some big thing. I mean, there's lots of things that happened in book 1, but boy, book 2 is already. I can't say anything at all because spoilers, but oh boy, book 2.
Oh man. Ooh, all right. You got our interest peaked. That's exciting. All right, so let me think if there was anything else I wanted to ask about that. All right, no. So you're working on book 2 already then? Yeah,
I'm working on book 2. We're still it's still conceptual. One thing that I've learned kind of the hard way is that I need to let my mind have a fallow period, like when you're farming, to lie. The land needs to lie dormant for a while so that it can regain something of its potency, and that's been true for this. This was such a big project; it took so much out of me. I should thank my friend Joseph Sale, because he's an amazing, wonderful person. Really, and you should read his books too. He did me the most amazing favor I can possibly describe. He read the second version of this book, and he got back to me with a whole bunch of feedback, and it was really wonderful because I mean,
that's awesome.
Obviously, one loves, who doesn't love praise, but there's also some critical feedback that got me to realize that I needed to redo. And he's like, hey, I think you need to, tweak this one character, you make a small change. And I thought, oh no, I can do a big change, and this character will be so much better, so much more realized, and his story will be so much more gripping. And so when I did that, I just tore up most of his chapters and I rewrote them, and there was a lot more. And while I was at it, I had to do with this other point of view character whose story intersects with his. And I could make that a lot better too. And then there were some others like, hey, well, I'm not. Let's just take her and him and her, and so of the 9 recurring point of view characters, excuse me, beg pardon. Let's see, there were about 5. There were 5 of them. I had to pretty substantially rewrite. And there were edits to some of the. I'd say there was a 6 where there was. Yeah, okay, so there were significant edits to most of them, and. So I did that, and I also added some interludes, which is a Stormlight Archive influence. There's a prologue, and then there's chapters, a set of chapters where you go through 9 different point of view characters, and they all get 2 to 4 chapters, and then we have the interludes, the first interludes, and so you expand that world, open. The interludes are some of my favorite parts of the book, because it just opens so much more up. With the world, and then we have we have part 2, which gets the same point of view, circles through in the same order, all 9 second interludes. Again, that's the part 3. There's a bonus chapter that kind of goes back. It goes back to the beginning of the order, and then there's an epilogue. So it's a very big, thick book, and so the point is that this is just going to take some time. I mean, I produced the 5 books of the Rossable Saga. I had them all released from Christmas Day 2021 to the end of August of 2023. So that's 5 books in less than 2 years. And I had Arc of Ascension, which, it's like you can see it there behind you. That was something I produced after that, in the same time period that I was starting to think about what would become Augury of Blood. It's really short, and it's a little. It's a side project.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was Thanksgiving Day of 2023. So I had 6 books out in less than 2 years.
That's crazy.
And so then I had to take a little more time. This is it's a big book. This is my first multi-POV book. Now, there is a secondary POV in the Rossable Saga. It's mostly first person, like first person and just his POV. In books 4 and 5, no spoilers, there is a second POV that recurs once every 10 chapters. And I had a ton of fun with that. But this is my first multi-POV book, and so it was and a new world. I had to do so much with it, and so much of my. I mean, I care about all of my books, but this is one that was just really coming from a deep place, the deep waters of my soul, and it meant so much to me. I wanted to do this right and do it well. So this is going to be with book 2. It's going to take some time too, but I think that probably the first draft will be done end of this year, beginning of next year, maybe January, February at the latest. And I'm going to try for publication before the end of next year. That's an ambitious goal, but I think it's going to be doable. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. That's awesome, man. That's wild. Side note, I did read Arc of Ascension, and it was really good. I liked it a lot, actually.
Really? Thank you. I appreciate that.
I read it right before I moved, so I need to do a little review on it and put it out. But,
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it was. I liked it a lot, man. I actually really enjoyed the character, the world. I like your writing style, so now I'm really pumped to read everything else too by you. But do you have any plans to go back to that? Because
I do intend to do it. I started a book 2 for that, and then I wanted to balance that with Augury of Blood, and I ended up not being able to.
Yeah.
And I had fun with Arc of Ascension. There will be a book 2. I have about 17,000 words. 17,000? Yeah, about 17,000 words written. Nice. And I need to go back to that. And I do want to make good on what I started. But transparently, this for me is, Legacy of Ermengar is very much, it's something that it speaks to my deepest values and my spiritual beliefs, and that's true of every book at some level that I produced has some aspects of that. But this was really, I saw clearly that when I looked at the world, I looked at America, and it's hard to miss the sense that our civilization has gotten into some trouble. And when I trying to frame this correctly, I see such a disconnect between the present and the past. And I see how not that long ago, there was a sense, people had a sense of the past. They read, you'd have to know Latin and Greek to get into Harvard. You'd have to have some geographical knowledge. You'd have to have some sense of history. There was just such a greater sense of pride in one's country and one's civilization.
Right. Yeah.
And I love history. I'm obsessed with it, and I think that there is maybe there's great things about modernity, but maybe the worst thing about it is the degree to which it has deracinated us. It has cut us off. It has uprooted us from our roots. And getting into the research and the passion and the poetry that drove this book brought home for me that symbols and history and heritage and the legacy of Remengor, like this is, they tell us who we are at a deep level. And if we don't have a sense of that, if we, the heirs of Western civilization, don't have a sense of that anymore, then we're cut off. We're adrift. We're orphans of history. Yeah. And I don't see that leads to anywhere good at all. So that was where a lot of my passion was coming from. And, I mean, Western civilization is something I'm deeply passionate about. But I wanted to go back deep into the folkish roots of the European peoples. And this is the thing for me. I'm a European American. I love learning about how my family came to America, and I'm proud. I love America. But it strikes me that our roots go back as Indo-European speakers, go back thousands of years. And that Europe was our home. So for me, there's still a deep, almost a mythic kind of knowing that comes about when I dive into literature and myths and opera. And I wanted to bring that to life and use epic fantasy in a way that would be powerful, that would speak to what I perceive as a great need for meaning, purpose, and identity in today's world. So that was another tangent, but but I'm full of them.
That was beautifully said, my friend.
Thank you.
Beautifully said. That was good. We just had a couple more people pop in here. Timothy Wolf is here, another awesome author. And Kale is here. What's up, Kale? Thanks for being here. And Sam had to take off. Thanks for being here, Sam. But he just wanted to give you a huge congrats.
Thank you so much. And I love your videos, man. You're awesome. His video on Baker is great because he
it is.
It's the perfect balance of respecting the man's achievements and also having some very valid, very worthwhile criticism.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Definitely go check out Sam Y is his channel if you guys have not yet. Anybody watching this. And also anybody watching this on replay or in the chat, I have Augury of Blood linked down in the description and Michael's website, so you can get to all his other books too. So
I'm also on X, so follow me there if you want. It's where I hang out the most. I posted images of I went to Mid-Journey and I made some images of my characters, and that was a lot of fun. The lead up to the release, just putting those out there. So
for sure. Yes, follow him on X. Lots of good stuff on there. All right, so in a second here, we're going to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Because this isn't your first book. You've got all these gorgeous books.
It's my 7th.
Yeah, which is awesome. So in a minute, I want you to talk us through kind of your writer's journey, your journey to, all these books and stuff. But before we do that, I have a question for you. Now,
is it about dad jokes?
It is. Do you like dad jokes?
Of course I like dad jokes.
All right.
What kind of shoes does a frog like to wear?
What kind of shoes does a frog
like to wear?
Like to wear?
Yeah. Like his favorite kind of shoes.
I don't know what.
Open-toed sandals.
Well played. I like that one.
I got one more for you.
That's good.
What is the difference between a tuna, a piano, and a pot of glue?
I don't know.
You can tuna piano, but you can't piano a tuna.
Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, I got.
Wait! Aren't you asked about the pot of glue?
What's that?
The pot of glue.
Oh yeah. What
about the pot of glue? See,
I don't know.
Knew you get stuck in that one.
Oh, I was thinking it, but I'm like, maybe I misunderstood. Dang it.
A tuna, piano, and a pot of glue. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So lay it on me.
All right. Well, all right. Do you want to hear one about cows or one about nuns?
Oh boy. Well, I sense that the nuns would be the spicier one, but cattle are central to Indo-European culture, actually. So let's go with that. Let's go with what about cattle.
All right. So why do cows like to go to New York City?
To star in great movies is where my mind goes, but that might be
close.
Hollywood.
You're close. They like to go to see the musicals.
Okay, yeah. I guess that makes more sense for New York, and Hollywood being the.
Yep. See,
you can tell I'm a provincial rube. I'm from Northern California, and I live in Oregon.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's good. All right, so but I will tell you the one about the nun too. All right. So,
yeah, great.
So what do you call a sleepwalking nun?
An unfortunate habit.
That's pretty good, but no, a Roman Catholic. Roman.
Oh, yeah, I
gotcha. Well done. Those are some good ones you had, man.
Awesome.
You came prepared. But that's like a dad superpower now. As soon as you become a dad, you just.
Well, I'm a father, so it's like
you just know all the dad jokes.
My daughter is 18 months, so a year and a half, and so a little young for dad jokes. We like board books, though.
Oh yeah, you gotta love the board.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have a bunch that we read to her. It's the same ones every night, so I mean, I have them all memorized.
Oh yeah. I can imagine you are a fun reader to listen to. I'm sure you get pretty.
Well, we also she has one called "You're My Little Cuddle Bug," and so it's like all these different cartoon depictions of bugs. It's not very entomologically accurate because it'll show like an adult and a baby, and it'll be somebody that has complete metamorphosis, but they'll have a. Anyway, it's very cutesy and very fun, and one of them is so it's like you're my little ladybug, you brighten up my day with rosy cheeks, you smile at me and chase my blues away, and then there's a baby bumblebee. You're my baby bumblebee, you are so very sweet. You fill my days with lots of joy, like honey, you're a treat. And then there's the third one is the caterpillar. So it's you're my caterpillar, you're ticklish through and through. My wife and I always tickle her, and she just laughs. And so she, for a while, she was taking off like as soon as like, oh, we're gonna read that book. Okay, I'm gonna go. She's crawling pretty well. She's not quite walking yet, but she's slow. So she's very mobile. Oh, yeah. So anyway, we do that kind of thing. So it's an interactive experience, and I'm gonna read her Redwall. I read her Redwall when she was really little, and the sound of my voice was kind of a big deal. But now it's like, okay, she hears Dad talk all the time. So when she's a little bit older, I'm going to read her some Redwall books again, and because that was my jam growing up.
Me too, man. That's what.
That's right. We talked about that. Brian Jakes. Yeah. I met him one time at a book signing when I was I'm a boy. He came to my town, if you can believe that. I mean, my little dinky little town in Grass Valley, California. Yeah. He came to this independent, this. It's actually still exists. It's a bookstore that is there, and was a big part of my childhood. And he came to that bookstore, that bookseller. I can't talk. That bookstore, it's called the Bookseller, and they had him there. And so I have a signed copy of, I think it's the Long Patrol that I had him sign, and still have to this day.
That's so cool. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Such good stuff. All right.
Some of them a little bit sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Some of those books, the ones that I loved, Redwall, Mossflower. Actually, the Long Patrol was pretty fantastic. Pearls of Ultra.
Good, yeah.
Some of them got a little bit paint by numbers. I actually read Lord Brocktree because I've had the book for most of my life, and I never actually sat down and read it. So I read it. It's like, this is good, but it's a bit paint by numbers. Yeah. I feel like you definitely see he did some things really well. And some things that got a little formulaic, but hopefully overall that series deserves a revival in popularity. It's so wholesome.
I agree. It is, and it can get pretty dark too. It's a good mix of like like people or not people, but the characters get killed in some pretty graphic, detailed ways. But
I mean Clooney the Scourge. Pulp by the Joseph Bell, and that was
it's pretty.
Spoiler alert for a children's book been out for most of our lives.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so before we talk about your journey, EL wanted to see all the books, so I'm going to show off all your books here real quick.
Oh, by all means,
just so that people can see them, because I remember when you sent me this package, I thought you were just gonna send me the first book and maybe Arc of Ascension, and then I get this huge book or a huge box in the mail.
That's how I like to do it.
I'm like, oh my gosh, these books are gorgeous. All right, so well, first of all, we got Arc of Ascension here.
That's
awesome
my space
cover.
opera.
Nice.
Yeah, I had fun with that. I honestly,
so
I think it's the weakest of my books, if I'm being 100% honest.
Oh man, I thought it was great.
That's my opinion, but
I'm in for a
you may
treat
agree or disagree. But yeah, it was fun. It was a. I was trying to kind of talk about have a fast-paced adventure story, but also have a sense of what happens with modernity, with the devaluation of higher values, and one response is nihilism, another response is religious fanaticism. But I wanted to get into that and hint at the possibility of another way. That's a bit of a theme in some of my books.
Yeah, it was well done. So then we got the Rostival. Am I saying
Rostival?
Right?
Yeah. And I want to emphasize, everybody, any way you want to say my name.
Right.
I've heard Schultheiss and Schultheiss, and sorry, it's German. The Germans don't really do the whole brevity thing. Big Lebowski reference. The orthography, the correct way of writing German actually changed in the late 19th century, but it didn't help me because my great grandfather came over in 1849 before that change. So the sound that trips people up is that it's Schultheiss. It's pronounced Schultheiss, and you see the th is like th. No.
Yeah.
Like Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Rostival saga. I mean, Rostival is how I say it. If someone wants to say it some other way, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. People can say my character's name's my name. Hey, you. Right. That works too.
Whatever works, right? So we got book 1. Look at that.
The Altar of My Fate.
Ooh, yes. Now we got book 2.
The Spiral of My Destiny.
Yes, sir. Book 3.
The Third Way of My God.
Very nice. Book 4.
The Shadow of My Vision.
And then book 5, you had all these were white covers. This one is darker.
That's my black album. The Circle of My Sovereignty.
I was gonna ask you, is that there's a reason for that? I'm sure that you made that one.
I wanted to do something different with the background color on that one, and I think that those 4 and 5 are okay. So the Rostival Saga on the whole is an adventure story. It's old school sword and sorcery. It's barbarian warriors and slave girls and meddlesome gods and adventure in distant lands and all kinds of things. 4 and 5 are the darkest of the bunch. I will be forthright and say that. That some things take a turn, which I think was necessary. But yeah, so I think that cover worked well in that sense. I'm spilling on myself. Usually it's my daughter who does that.
She gets it from somewhere, right?
Yeah, evidently. So yeah, that was definitely a very intentional choice. I wanted to do something very different with the aesthetics on that cover.
Oh yeah, they are gorgeous, man. I love.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like them.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
At some point, I want to redo them. I do want to redo them. My thinking is I've gotten some feedback that people don't get the sword and sorcery vibe, to be transparent. Hey, like
I guess I could see that.
Which, and I want to always get better at everything that I do. So I don't mind if someone says, "Hey, what you're doing is not working," or "What you're doing kind of sucks." Like, okay, great. But if you're pointing out a problem that is, whether it's in my writing or my marketing or whatever, I want to know,
right?
So I can make it better. I mean, I've worked to get better at storytelling. I'm proud when I go back and look at the Altar of My Fate. Like, I mean, I'm proud of the book overall, but I feel that I've leveled up so much, especially with this new book. So it's always kind of fun. Oh wow! I mean, not to toot my own horn here, but I just feel that you work at it and you get better and you take in feedback and criticism, and that's the way to grow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am going to redo them at some point. right now I don't have the money to pop out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $700 a pop for those covers,
Man.
which is fine. Like I mean,
Right.
I don't begrudge. I want to pay artists. Like I'm
Right.
all about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of when we have the when I have a few thousand to spare, and I'm going to redo them at some point.
Right.
But yeah, but I did have fun with. I mean, the writing, of course, and then I mean, I do enjoy the covers. I think 4 and 5 are my favorite of the lot. It's kind of a toss up between those two. So you wanted to know about the Rustable Saga? Do you want to? I mean, I can.
I mean,
I can bend your ear if you want to know about them.
Let's talk about your journey to writing the Rustable Saga.
Oh, okay, that's an easy.
Then you can pitch and talk about that series a little bit. So take me back to when you were just a young little Michael.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about kind of where your love for fantasy and books and all that started, when you started writing, and then when eventually you decided to go for it and write like an actual book and publish it.
Okay. So this is I'm going to bottom line this for you. To hear my mother tell it, I've been telling stories since before I could write.
Okay.
So I say birth a little tongue-in-cheek, but I was basically born to absorb stories like a sponge and create my own. I was always a very imaginative kid, and so that's kind of the backdrop for all of this. I loved learning about distant lands and distant places and exotic animals. I was really into wildlife as a kiddo, and then the Redwall books were kind of my first introduction to fantasy literature. As 7 years old, my parents were still reading to me at that point. So that was kind of the beginning of it. And then at some point, I discovered Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings, and my parents had this paperback set of those books, old school. I found that like a photograph of that edition. It was like 1972. Not the very first edition by any means, but very old school. And so that I remember just being mesmerized, like, wow, this looks really cool. And I wasn't sure if I'd be allowed to read it because it was a very strict household. We had lots of rules on what you could and couldn't read. And so anyway, then they let me do it. And so I read, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And it opened up my mind to this like mythic Grand Canyon. And I watched Star Wars as a kid. Who didn't? And that was just blew my mind. It's amazing how these influences. I mean, Star Wars now, I think they're fine for children and children at heart, and it's fine if you love it. That's fine. It's not really my thing anymore, but that's okay. I'm an old guy. So as I grew up and went from a child to a teen, and I eventually got into like Ray Bradbury, and I was really impressed by his prose and his stories. He was just a masterful, amazing short story writer. A Martian Chronicles. I mean, it's the transportive quality of that. The stories in that book are it's incredible. And I read Edgar Rice Burroughs. I read H.G. Wells. I got into science fiction big time for a little bit there.
You did.
Then David Eddings and Terry Goodkind, and there's things to be said about each of those individuals, good and bad. But that was kind of like taking you through my childhood, and then I think Brandon Sanderson was probably the next big discovery in my 20s, and I read a lot of him. And I had tried to work at writing stories in my teens and my 20s, and I think I had to get to a point more in my 30s where I was a bit more just a more disciplined person. Yeah. And so then I worked harder at it in my 30s. And I had been getting into history, historical nonfiction, and that was just an obsession of mine. Again, since I was a young, just a lad, really. Yeah. So at some point, I started trying to write different stories and different things, and the Rustable Saga evolved out of that, and out of wanting to get kind of an Edgar Rice Burroughs kind of a sword and sandal, maybe sword and slave girl kind of a fantasy. And also to have a sense of history and geography. And so the research that went into that was a lot of fun. And I really got into all kinds of different ancient and medieval, even some medieval cultures. So that's kind of the short version. The Rustable Saga is kind of a mashup in the sense that it's not like one thing that I'm drawing on from historically. It's very, very loosely inspired by the Aryan invasion of India, which connects to what I was talking about earlier. in the second millennium BC, and you may hear these people called the Aryans, the Aryas, the Indo-Aryans. It's not a, I know, it's not. Okay. Hitler had a variety of ideas that I'm not endorsing. This is a different thing. This is not that. There's a whole history about Indo-European studies, actually, that some of the ideas that had been the forefront of scholarship in the 30s, up to the 30s, was in Germany. They had a number of ideas that were correct or more on the right track than not. Unfortunately, the association with the Third Reich, which is, it's lamentable, but led to basically the whole field got nerfed in the 20th century, because any suggestion that maybe the demographics of Europe and of much of the South Asia and the Middle East had been remade through violent conquest was sort of politically very a hot potato, so to speak. So the idea that gained currency for a while at about the mid-century in some circles was, well, maybe pots. The ceramic were the cornerware people. Maybe it's just that the pot styles went, the styles of pottery spread and not the people. We now know it was the people. We have demonstrable, like the objective proof of this, of genetics, the R1A and R1B lineages that are spread across R1A in Eastern Europe and South Asia, R1B more in Western Europe. So there was a prehistoric set of expansions, and one leg of that was the so-called Aryans, who did actually invade India and Iran. Iran literally means Aryan. Iran Shah, Kingdom of the Aryans. So it's unfortunate when historical scholarship gets tainted by association with an awful set of politics. But just to clear that up for anyone, this is not some neo-Nazi code word. This is just to clarify that up a little bit. So that's one good set of thing that I was very interested in. I mean, and it's the linguistics are really fascinating, and the culture is really fascinating. I love getting into ancient cultures. So that was one thing, and I also read up on the trans-Saharan slave trade. There is a slave trade that occurs in the Rossabo Saga that I patterned after that. For a variety of reasons having to do with geography. So I got into some primary source research for that. On the whole, this is a very much a Middle Eastern and South Asian inspired world, but I did use a little bit of African influences too. And it was complicated. I mean, you have a trade across a desert, and so the dynamics of that actually make a lot of sense in terms of the finer points of geography and climate and culture and geopolitics. So I wanted to create a story that would be sword and sorcery and escapism and adventure. There's a fair bit of adult content in there. It doesn't shy away from any of that. It doesn't shy away from that at all. It's very open about that. But it's also, I'm hoping that there's stuff for the thinking person. If you want to understand history and culture, you don't have to get into that. You can simply read it as, I hope that adventure and escapism is the first. Like, that's to me, is like, that's just your duty as an author. Adventure, escapism, get away, be diverted from life. We have to work and pay bills and all that. Need some water. So that's kind of the essence of that with the Rossabo Saga. That was kind of the with a number of different versions. And actually, my wife, Becca, I got to shout her out because she is the one who made this happen. I had finished an earlier version, and it was not very good, to be honest with you. But she read it and liked it enough to say, you should really get this published. And I thought, well, I don't think so. But she talked me around. So eventually, I dusted it off, and I worked in a whole bunch more history and culture and geography, and I worked on making it a much more streamlined story, really cutting it down, taking away any fluff or padding or anything, just streamlining and reworking. And then I did that two different times in 2020 to 2021. And the result was finally something that I was happy enough, like, okay, I can put this forward into the world. Excuse me. I can put this forward into the world. I can be proud of it. And the rest, as they say, is history.
And we're glad you did, man. Because now you got all these books out, and you've got the Augury of Blood getting ready to come out.
Yeah.
It is out. It is out.
It is out.
Awesome. Fantastic, man. All right. So we have gone past an hour. Do you have time for a few more questions?
I've got time for whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
As long as you're okay. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a little
ready
more
to go.
time.
I've got lots of water. I've got mushroom. There's actually a mix of two different. This is what a mushroom beverage.
Let me see that. Let me see that color of that drink close up.
It looks like it's like mud water.
Yeah, it does.
In fact, one of the things is literally called mud water. It's mushroom chai. And this is mud water mixed with Rise mushroom coffee. So mushroom chai, mushroom coffee mixed with water. I enjoy it. It is kind of an earthy taste. My wife is generally correct and specifically correct that this does have kind of an earthy taste, but I like it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's important to like what you're drinking, and it's good for you, so that's good.
And I'm a caffeine hound. Like I love caffeine. I drink lots of coffee, so this has a more balanced. There's less of it, and there's some energy promoting mushrooms, and it's good for you.
That's good. That's good. All right, so we're gonna end it with some questions about you outside of writing, so we can get to know you. But before we do that, you've been in some of my lives before. Have you seen when we do the 1 minute mysteries?
Yes, I think Mr. Andrew Watson, you did one with him that I was just watching before this, so I would have an understanding of what to expect. All right, let's do it.
All right, you're ready? All right, so I'll read you the face, tell you the mystery, and then there are some clues I can give you if you need them. And the chat can help you out and shout out if they think they know what it is. So let me make sure that we haven't done any of these ones yet. Let's see. That one's pretty good. We haven't done that yet. All right. All right, here we go. So I got 3 of them here.
Okay.
Which one do you want to do? 1, 2, or 3?
Let's do 2.
2, right in the middle?
Yeah,
all
right in the middle.
Let's do it.
Split the difference.
Here we go. All right, here's the case. Stan walks into a large room wearing his robe.
Okay.
When people see him, they stop talking and look up. After a while, Stan walks away and doesn't reappear for around a week. The people all leave quietly. Some leave him money. What is Stan's profession and where does he work?
He is a minister. He works at a church.
Ooh, nicely done.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty good.
Initially, robe. I was thinking judge.
Yeah.
Everything. Okay, once a week. Okay.
That's pretty good, man. That was quick. I'm impressed. I knew you'd get it quick.
Oh, good.
You get it quick. Well done. See, I think they try to word it so that people think like a home robe, but as soon as it talks about profession, I think it's like, all right, it's got to be some kind of like, judge, like you said, or something. But that was impressive. I'm highly impressed. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, so I got just a few questions that we can get to know you outside of writing. So we're going to start with a nice, easy lob question. What is your favorite color, Michael?
I would have to say blue. I love blue. Okay. It has that kind of restful quality, but also the room. There's so many different shades of blue, and I feel like there's some that are very restful to the eye. You like to look at it. You don't. It's not like red can be kind of okay. It's get your attention. It's an exciting color, and blue can do that, but it can also be restful, and it's just so much room for complexity with blue. I think.
Oh yeah, I blue is my favorite color too. So I agree.
I'm actually wearing blue.
You are actually wearing blue.
Yeah.
I'm not.
What's yours?
I would say blue too. Blue is also my favorite. I do like the lime bright green too I use like in my logo and stuff. I do like that green, but all right, next one. What's your favorite food? Like if you and your wife are gonna go eat somewhere and you can only pick one type of food, what are you getting?
Oh, we're getting sushi. I love sushi.
Love sushi.
That we did that for Father's Day.
Nice.
We took our daughter and.
Did she try it?
Let's see. We got her something that wasn't full on sushi. It was and it was like French fries and
yeah.
Like sweet it was like sweet potatoes and
Oh,
just
okay.
like some more. They had some more child friendly options.
Yeah, that's good.
American
Yeah,
child
I
friendly
wondered.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah. She did well.
Okay.
Being out in new places can be.
Oh yeah.
She's kind of introverted. She can be a little bit upset around people she doesn't know.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
phase.
That's how it goes. Yep. They're finding their way in the world, figuring
Yeah.
things out. Good to expose them to things, so that's good. What's your favorite kind of sushi to get?
Oh, I like the crunch, the crunchy, the
Oh, me
tempura
too.
rolls with like
Yeah.
shrimp and crab and different kinds of fish.
So good. So good.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Is
also
there-
get some of the like the nigiri, where there's like the
Oh, yeah.
octopus and the
Yeah.
I think it's the nigiri is the menu, and then it's just like this the octopus and the flying fish eggs and all kinds of great stuff.
Oh,
It's just fun to me. You know, I love seafood.
I
We
love
live
it.
here in Oregon, so we get it sometimes. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a little we can't eat it every day, but
yeah.
fun. I love seafood.
Oh yeah. Me too. Me too. Awesome. All right. Now you're gonna have to go back in the memory bank for this one.
Okay.
So you can remember these next two questions. First one, do you remember what your first car was?
A 1981 Volvo, I think.
Oh, a Volvo.
Yeah, was it 81 or an 82?
Okay. What color was it?
Kind of a tan color. I crashed it. I was young and dumb. I wasn't very good at
Oh no.
I was kind of a reckless driver. I'm not anymore.
Those are safe cars, so it must have protected you. I said they say Volvos are safe, always safe cars, right? So it must have done its job.
Oh yeah, I was fine. The car wasn't, but I was.
That's good. Yeah, I'm sure you're a much safer driver now, especially with that baby on board.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very cautious.
I think we're all like that when you first start driving. You get that freedom. You've got your own car, and you're just a little naive and a little.
I was very sheltered.
Well, I'm glad you survived and that you're still here.
Thank you.
All right. And what was your first job? Do you remember what your first job was?
Yes, I was 17. I worked at a pizzeria.
Okay.
Minor Moe's. Yeah.
Minor Moe's.
That was what it was called.
That's crazy. Was it? So it was just like a local place?
A mom and pop kind of shop.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Did you do like make the pizzas and deliver or clean? Like what'd you do?
I helped with a variety of tasks. Okay. I think I helped. I mean, everybody you had to help with cleaning regardless. It's good to, as a young guy, I will say there's something to be said for having a job like that where it's just menial labor. You learn the value of, sweat equity.
Yeah.
I'm a bit conflicted in the sense that, do I want my daughter to do a job like that for her first job when she's, a teenager because it will build character, or do I want her to spend, find something that's, that's going to be like generate, hey, what about doing something that involves selling, creating a product of some kind that you can sell online,
right?
In an Etsy shop or something. Like so many things, back then that was kind of the thing, build some character. But maybe now, maybe the jobs of the future, their training is, hey, how about you, create something,
right?
You can,
that you can be passionate
ethical and legal and appropriate, of course, that you can sell. Make money and maybe even be the foundation for something more.
My kids. I think the same with my kids. Yep. So those jobs are great if they find one that just teaches them about teamwork and sweat equity. Yeah. But if it can be something that they're interested in and can help them in the future too, that's even better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like it. All right. So we know that you are a really good writer. But besides writing,
I hope
so. Well, hey, I read Arc of Ascension, so
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And you say that's your least best.
Yeah,
book, so
that's my ranking. I would put that one lowest on a tier ranking.
Well, then I'm excited to read the rest.
Awesome,
because it was awesome, man. All right, so what is a either a talent or a hobby that we don't know about that you have?
Well, I'm really into fitness. I work out 6 days a week, and I'm really passionate about health and keeping good shape. And
that's good.
That's been a thing that I've done that has really helped me to become a more disciplined person, and that's helpful for writing as well. When you have that discipline, it's like no matter what, I'm working out Monday through Saturday.
That's good.
First part of my
Right away in the morning or at night?
Yeah. And sometimes I have to help with the baby first, but when I have the whatever time that is available to me, the first part of that is when I'm going to be working on my workout, and then
nice.
Excuse me. So
do you work out at home or do you
at home, and then I run around here. I have a whole little route.
Okay.
So yeah, we live in a nice suburb here in Oregon, and it's great. It's very walkable, very safe.
Now,
so yeah.
When you go for your run, I need to know, because I can't picture you without the hat. Do you run with the hat on?
No.
Oh man, I wondered if there's any hair under there.
No, there's none.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a picture of you at all without the hat. You have a very nicely rounded head, man.
Well, thank you.
Like what's that called? Symmetrical.
Oh, good, yeah. indicates evolutionary fitness.
There you go. See, and you're all about fitness.
Yeah. So I say too, I love cooking. That's another thing that I do that maybe I don't talk about very much. And my wife enjoys my cooking, and that's my daughter to some degree enjoys it too. I think mostly does enjoy it.
Okay.
I made some chili, maybe the other month, and
I love
she
chili.
I love chili. She was eating it. She was enjoying it. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
She's a good little eater then. That's
awesome. Generally, there'll be times when she's kind of finicky and doesn't like.
But she'll try. She'll try most stuff at least.
She's very particular. So you gotta try. She may take some convincing to try something, and pick it up and decide she doesn't want it. She'll toss it on. She'll just toss it aside. It's 18 months, so it's like, okay, well, we're gonna wait to train you out of that yet. But let's just throw it aside.
Right. Because if you just go get it, then that's
it can be finicky. It's all about today you might like this, and then tomorrow you might like that. And there's some things that she generally likes, like noodles, and she likes cheese.
That's good.
But another, it's kids and food,
Oh yeah, that it's interesting. I've got my youngest is 7, and she's still picky.
Oh, great.
We always make her try everything, but usually she ends up eating, macaroni or chips with cheese melted on them, or something, because she'll try stuff.
To be young and not have to worry about the metabolism.
I know it's gonna. I'm like, ugh.
I couldn't. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy. All right, so what are? All right, I'll ask this one first. I never know which order I want to ask these, but are you now, or have you ever been a gamer, like video games, consoles, PC? Really. I know that you used to be into D&D,
PC. I did used to do PC games, Age of Empires, and that was one of my jam. Back when I was a teenager, back before I was fully grown, and I think it's.
You had time.
No shade. Some people some people who work much harder than I do still find time. If that's your thing, that's great. It just the time that I have available to myself between everything that I'm trying to do. I've been trying to relaunch my author career and really take off and with Augury of Blood, really reach a new phase. Yeah. So I've put a lot of work into that, and any spare time is either I'm working on my writing, I'm working on my marketing, I'm working on. Well, I love to read. I mean, I love reading. I just have so little time and so little energy. It's always kind of when I go to bed. Okay, an hour, maybe even a couple hours if I read before I fall asleep.
I know. I know it's hard. It's hard.
But again, no shade. I don't even think that this is some kind of a lot of my friends are gamers, and I know that many of them work frankly longer hours than I do and much harder than I do, and still find time. And that's great.
But they probably don't. They're probably not writing.
I think my good friend Punish John is both a gamer and a writer and works full time as a.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So that might be an exception, but
Yep. I guess it's just you just gotta partition yourself out. It's everybody has different things that they need to do. So. Very cool. All right. What are some of your favorite movies and TV shows?
Oh, okay. I came prepared for this one too. The Northman by Robert Eggers. That is my favorite film of the time.
I want to see that. I've heard really
Oh,
good
you
things.
gotta! It's incredible. I think
Ah.
the thing that I love about it is he didn't go in there and try and wrap it in safety wrap for modern sensibilities. So there are shocking things that happen in that movie. It reflects the Viking ethos, the Norse ethos, which itself was essentially a localized representation of the older Indo-European tradition, the tradition of the Manabund, the war band. And that tradition has been lost to us for a long time in the West because of a variety of things, the development of civilization, and of course Christianity came along, and that's a complex thing. I love the Christian heritage of the West. I'm passionate about that too. So this is not I'm not dogging on it, but that does cut us off to some degree, and even by a very large degree, from how the traditional Norse saw things. And and the one Indo-European tradition that really survived, well, or maybe two. So there's Zoroastrianism in Persia, which is a dualistic religion that has a lot of axial age characteristics. It's a very axial age religion, in fact. And then the Upanishadic version of Hinduism that came along, also in the axial age, in the first millennium before Christ, is another example of an Indo-Europe. It's the main living Indo-European tradition, but it has undergone philosophical elaboration. The Norse, with a few other groups like the Lithuanians in the Baltic, you have an example of the Indo-European tradition that survived very recently without undergoing that kind of philosophical elaboration. And so they had a very old school, the animistic and shamanic and polytheistic ways of viewing the world. And that's what I love about it. But it does create a disjuncture for modern audiences.
Okay.
He doesn't have the Vikings as a stand-in for contemporary politics or culture war issues or anything like that. They are very true to life. And that's how I try to write my stories too. But that does cause trouble. This is some people bounce off the Rossaville saga because the depiction of concubinage is very frank, and it's just a thing that people take for granted.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's that culture. Yeah. So that's what I love, and I don't like most modern films. There's very very few that I really love, and The Northman is the one that it stands out massively in my mind. But I do love some older films. My wife and I watched The Maltese Falcon. That's a good one.
Oh, okay.
Casablanca. That's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I do enjoy some of the older films. Trying to think of some good examples. It'll all hit me off. I'm like, oh my god.
Okay. Those are good ones.
Yeah. Zulu is a good one too. That's
Zulu. I don't know.
Yeah, it's about the Battle of Rorke's Drift.
Okay.
When a small group of British soldiers heroically stood off against a Zulu warband. The Zulus had just defeated.
Wow. Okay.
The Zulus had defeated the British at Isandlwana and wiped out a British force. And then they were going to this mission station, and the British made a decision to stand and fight despite being massively outnumbered. They had better weapons, but they were massively outnumbered, and it's this really epic, really wonderful story. I think of courage and heroism. Okay. So that's a fantastic. I would recommend that as just a. I think it's really well done, really great.
Cool. All right. You're adding some things to my watching list too.
Oh, great. Yeah, the Northman is the one that I would like.
Yeah, I definitely gotta watch that.
You gotta watch that. It's
fantastic.
I hate most of what Hollywood produces, or I'm indifferent to it. Like if I can be bothered to care about it, I'm gonna hate it. So I mostly just don't. But Robert Eggers, boy, I don't know what it is about that film. It's just amazing. It's just it's magical. Okay. So another thing. So Wagner is the one that I mentioned earlier, and it's not a film, but on YouTube you can go and you can watch Opera North. It's a British opera company.
Oh, okay.
They did the complete ring cycle. If you just Opera North ring cycle, should bring it up, and you can watch it, and it's not, you don't have to buy it. It's just free.
Oh, that's
the whole
pretty
thing.
Cool.
I mean, I have YouTube Premium, so there's no ads. I don't know if you do that, but yeah. So you can watch it for free, and I don't know why more people aren't going out and doing that, because it's incredible. The music is mesmerizing. It is in German. I don't speak
Right.
German, so it has English subtitles, but those
Yeah.
are easy enough to follow along with.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of
A lot
nearsighted,
of
so I
great things with
might,
subtitles. Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool, man. Oh, and speaking of our good friend Punish John, he just popped in here and said,
Hey, take me down to the Orc City where the orcs are green and the elf maidens are pretty.
There we go. I like it. That was quick thinking, man.
Well, I was somebody was saying I was a riff off of I think John himself was saying it's about elf maidens are pretty or something. So I just
Well done. I started to sing it in my head when you were saying.
Yeah.
But John, we were just talking about how you somehow managed to write, work as much as you do all the social media stuff,
and play video games. It really impresses me.
Yes, we are very impressed. All right, so last question. We're going to bring it back to the reading, writing world. So you talked a little bit about some of the authors and books through the years that inspired you, but tell us just, I'm not going to put a number on it because it's hard off the top of your head, but just a few of your like top favorite authors and then books and series that you love.
Okay, so I'm going to start with like if it's just one recommendation that people take out of this whole wonderful conversation, go read my very good friend Joseph Sale. Sale like making a sail, S-A-L-E, not like a sail on a boat. Sale, making a sail. And specifically, he has a couple that I would really recommend. So Dark Hilarity is the first one of his that I read. And it is a portal fantasy. It's about these two young girls who love this rock band. And this rock band has all this weird kind of like conceptual albums about this world called Daeshta. And it's a very dark kind of place, really atmospheric. And what they find, this is not a spoiler, what they find out very early on is that this is a real place. That these musicians have a way of going to that place. And it's an amazing story. It's honestly, it will, it's so beautiful, and it will. I will warn you right now. You're gonna be chopping some onions because he knows how to play your heartstrings like a Stradivarius, and in the best possible way. So, the only criticism I had of that book is that I wanted more of the awesome stuff we had there. But it was a very good book, and I enjoyed it. And then I read his book. Let's see. I read Save Game. There's two now. There's Save Game and Death Game. I read Save Game. I'm going to read Death Game before too much longer. And Save Game it's essentially his own take on the lit RPG genre, is my understanding. Someone tell me if I have it wrong. So, it's like they have this virtual reality game. And that's the fantasy elements are all in this game, but it's very vivid. He makes the whole thing feel extraordinarily real. And it's this young guy who's living kind of a very depressing life, and his father is very going to die, and he needs this treatment, and it's very expensive, and they can't just hey, we'll pay you back. This really expensive. So he's playing the game not just to escape from his really crappy life, but because there is a giant prize at the end of the game. There's $1 million prize. And it's the kind of thing where I'm describing this, you might think, you might sound like, why did I read about this gamer kid? You should, because it's amazing. He's got so much heart, and the fantasy elements of the game are so vivid. He makes the game, and this is what I love about this wonderful book. This video game, this augmented virtual reality, they have a headset and it transports them into this fantasy world. That's all it's all computerized. It's not an actual magical thing, but it is magic because he makes you care about what happens in this game. And without any spoilers, the climax of the book, I was literally punching there. I was like, this is so amazing. So it's just this short little book, and it grabbed me, and it just through. And so I'm thinking, okay, great. Well, I thought I would like it. I ended up freaking loving it. And then I went and I read Virtue's End, which is an epic poem. Virtue's End, and it's a continuation of Spenser's The Fairy Queen, which I have not read, but I read this story, and it is a myth articulated against the dehumanizing forces of modernity, and it's an epic adventure story that deserves to be compared to Paradise Lost. We should be mentioning John Milton and Joseph Sale in the same breath. I'm dead serious. I want to emphasize this again. Virtue's End deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as Paradise Lost, which is the highest possible praise I can give to anything. So go read that book is my exhortation for anyone who cares what I have to say. Like you've just got to. It's even if you might think, oh, I know poetry. Yes, poetry. It's amazing. It will transport you. It's this fantastic. And he has authors like Mary Shelley and Tolkien who are in this book, who will go on this adventure with him. And what he has to say about the human condition and about how we can create meaning and find meaning and essentially protect the realm of imagination. And it's just so incredible. And honestly, I'm saying all this, and I'm going to do a review of it very soon on my Substack and on X and on Amazon. But it's just incredible. I need a little time to just put everything together.
Okay.
Yeah. And he did review Augury of Blood. So I mean, full disclosure, like he read Augury of Blood and he loved it. Yeah. But I'm being 100% serious. It's like I absolutely this is one of the most important fantasy works of our age. So if you read only one book as a result of my recommendations today, read Virtue's End by Joseph Sale.
Okay, I'll add that to the description down below for people to check him out too.
Couple more. John.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Honest John might or might not be related to a certain John A. Douglas of the Black Crown. I really enjoyed that book, and I know that a bunch of stupid trolls are dragging him for his opening page, which I liked just fine. I really enjoyed the Black Crown. I really did, and I thought that it was a wonderful. The amount of heart in that story is absolutely incredible. His characters are so winsome, and they're so much fun, and his sense of humor is absolutely just off the charts. It's oh my god. He can weave humor into so many things, and I mean, it's charming, and it's also the protagonist, this half-orc prince who is a bookworm and then is forced out into the world. I mean, it's just there's so much here, and it's so much fun. And I think that whatever the trolls are saying, like just use that as an excuse to go read the book because I think you'll have a great time with it. And so that's another one. I'm reading Michael Michel. Oh
yeah.
The Price of Power. I'm really enjoying that. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been enjoying that. Yep. And I should mention another one. So Jeff Long is an author. This is going back. I think this book came out in the 90s. The Descent for Jeff Long.
Okay.
And the whole premise is that it's set in the 1990s. They discover a race of diabolical humanoids living deep underground.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a discovery of these essentially hominids who seem to have inspired stories of hell. And there's all of these amazing stories around that. And that book, I read that book and it just absorbed me. And it just had wonderful adventure and mystery and aspects of horror too. Mm-hmm. And I got to the end of that book and I thought, I wish I had written this book. And it's so rare that I feel that I have that experience. Usually I'm like, I read it. That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
Usually even when I really love a book, I don't think I wanted to have fun of that. But that book ended up inspiring both the one faction of villains in the Rossable Saga. If you read into the Rossable Saga, you get to book 3. There's a dark elf-like race called the Gontuganti who are basically they have human slave soldiers and they're very kind of fascistic, and they're this terrible, they're a very existential kind of threat. And that was inspired by The Descent, and because I couldn't do it just the one time, have this kind of subterranean race of humanoids. I did it again with Augury of Blood. The Night Court of the Dwayari are also inspired by The Descent to a degree, although there's also some influences from European mythology. There's very much the dwarf. If you get into dwarf lore in Europe, they're shapeshifters. There's all kinds of deep kind of associations with them. They're not just these funny little guys who have talked with a Scottish brogue and like to mine. No, it's much more like elves and all kinds of fun stuff. So so the Descent by Jeff Long is another one that doesn't get nearly enough love, and it's not like the movie. The Descent, just to be clear. Although there is a similar concept, but so whether you like the movie or not, the book is not like the movie. So they're very much two different things, despite having the same common element of, hey, what if there's humanoids underground and they come out and they take us captive sometimes and they eat us or they enslave us or whatever. So that's a book that just shocked me for how much I just absorbed it, and it's so rare to have an experience of just being swept away.
Wow.
And just like not being able to put it down. So
that's cool.
Those are a few.
Those are awesome.
But
no, that's great, dude. Those are good.
One more.
Yeah.
Call It Courage by Armstrong Sperry is a story that I read as a lad, I was probably in my teens, and it's a story of a Polynesian youth in the Pacific Islands before European contact, and he's deathly afraid of the sea, and everyone makes fun of him because the sea it's dangerous, but you have to go out and fish. That's where you get so much of your food. Yeah, and you have to go on trading expeditions and raids to other islands, and so eventually he gets tired of all the ridicule and all the shame. He gets his pet dog, his pet albatross. He has an albatross with kind of a lame foot that he raised and took care of. And so then gets it all together, and he goes out sailing to try and prove them all wrong. And he gets shipwrecked on this distant island. He has to survive. And there's a reason, without any spoilers, there's a reason that he has to get off that island before too much longer. And the story is incredible. It's about facing your fears, obviously. It's also about survival. And the prose is some of the best that I've ever encountered. And I last read that book probably in my early teens. And so I still remember that it's so evocative. So I think that book is sort of woven into the deep layers of my soul. It exists deep down in the depths. And I think it probably always will. So that's one that I recommend. You have a 7-year-old.
Yep, 7, 11, 15, and 19.
Okay. So maybe your younger ones would be about the right age for this book, is my thinking. But even as an adult, I feel like I could read that again and enjoy it. It is more a children's book, but young person's book.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's cool. My answer for now. I'll probably think of some more the second we're off, but that's my answer for now.
Hey, I love those though. You shouted out some indie authors and some hidden gems that maybe people might not have heard of. I love that. Very cool, man. Awesome. All right, so we are gonna wrap it up here because
you've been very generous with your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been a blast, but it's already been an hour and 37 minutes we've been chatting.
Oh goodness,
doesn't seem like that long.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I know. So I'll go into my closing spiel in a minute, but I wanted to give you the floor one more time to talk about Augury of Blood or anything else you want to talk about to the audience.
Well, my hope for Augury of Blood is that the reader will find it a boundless tale of adventure and escapism. I poured my heart and soul into this book and really worked to make it the best experience possible. And I think if you're looking for that classic fantasy vibe, whether or not you care about all of the historical, I nerd out. I'm a history nerd. I'm kind of a weird guy with weird interests. I'd be the first person to admit that. But even if you don't,
I wouldn't say weird.
Thank you. You're very generous. Even if you're not into all the nerdy stuff, like I wrote it to be just a wonderful experience. And I think if you are looking for adventure and escapism, but also, frankly, I think too, if you like, I think character is the only thing that's ultimately really interesting. So I worked really hard to make the characters engaging as well. And I think if you're looking for that next great fantasy read to sweep you away, I think you'll find a lot to love here. And there's a lot of, I have a lot of characters. So I feel like most people who love fantasy will probably have your one or two favorites, and as well as the ones you kind of love to hate.
Nice. We all love that. Very cool, man. Well, thank you again for coming on. This has been a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime you have another book coming out, or if you just want to come on for any reason, I'd love to have you on.
I'd love to. Awesome.
So I appreciate it, man. And thank you, everybody in the live chat. Yeah,
thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all. You guys were awesome. Thank you for everybody watching on replay. We appreciate it. Do not forget that Michael's book is linked down below, and it is out today. So go check it out.
It's on
go
Kindle
ahead.
Unlimited too. If you're, I understand.
Okay.
Like, hey, you may not be ready for a purchase. I want to make it on Kindle Unlimited to give people that option. If you don't want to buy it, it's okay. Like, I get that it's an ask. It's always an ask. So if it's on, with Kindle Unlimited, it's still an ask on your time, but maybe that would encourage some people to just try it and see if it's for you.
Yeah. I think that's for sure. So check it out. And actually, I think if you have Kindle Unlimited, the link is to the ebook, because when I did it, the paperback wasn't on there yet. So if you want to do Kindle Unlimited, click that link. It'll take you right to it. So
awesome.
We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody. Have a great
rest of
your Saturday. And I'll be back again early next week. So we'll see you then. And until I do, everybody, as I always say, devour your TBRs, be brave, be beautiful to one another, and be beastly. We'll see everybody. Have a great night. Take it easy. So long.